Mike Florio, the editor of ProFootballTalk.com, contributor to Football Night in America, wants to weigh in. Your thoughts on it, Mike?
Well, and here's the thing. If you have replay available, Dan, for that specific question, was the ball catchable, what you would need to do to overturn the call on the field is have indisputable visual evidence that the ball was catchable. So I think if you do replay that, it doesn't meet the standard because it falls into that gray area of discretion and judgment. They never would have been able to say, definitely, absolutely, positively, that ball was catchable.
But if you've thrown the flag, then now I have to have real strong evidence that says, to the contrary there.
Well, and here's what happened. Terrence Miles, the back judge, threw the flag, and then if you watch the game broadcast, and, cameras are cutting here and there, but it looks like Miles is convinced pretty quickly. This wasn't an extended collaboration among the officials with Miles getting his arm twisted by Clete Blakeman, the referee. Miles seems to realize, you can see it in his body language, his demeanor, he's putting the flag back in his pants, he's shaking his head, he understands the ball wasn't catchable. I'd love to hear from him.
Yeah.
Through all of this PR after the fact, Clete Blakeman running off the field after saying no flag on the play, Dean Blandino not really getting to the core of the question. Why can't we hear from the guy who threw the flag? Why did you decide it wasn't a flag? Wouldn't that give us some guidance as to what really happened here? Because I think that's why this thing continues to percolate. We feel like we haven't gotten a clear and straight answer about what really happened.
Well, we didn't even get an answer on the field. They picked up the flag, no foul, drive home safely. That's part of the problem, too. We're owed that. With the amount of money invested in this sport, billions and billions of dollars, somebody should have been at least available after the game, not for pool reporters. I wanted to hear from that person instead of Bill Belichick or Tom Brady after the game.
And I want to ultimately hear from the guy who threw the flag and picked it up. And I want to hear in the moment from the guy who's in charge of the crew exactly why it was picked up. How can it be that in the NFL, where everything is so uniform and standardized and buttoned up, that you've got a range of possible explanations from 3 words and run off the field to Ed Hockley, who would have gone on for 30 minutes?
I don't know if this is a real ringing endorsement. I wouldn't say they were wrong. when the head of officials says, my crew, I wouldn't say they were wrong. What do you make of that comment?
Well, and here's the thing. It's a judgment call, and it falls into an area of discretion where the guys on the field who are experiencing that thing in the moment have to make that decision as to whether or not the ball was catchable. The rule book gives them no guidance. The case book that's like 106 pages long that goes along with the rule book, it doesn't explain what is catchable or uncatchable. These guys have to figure it out in the moment as they see it, and they ultimately made the decision in this case that when Robert Lester undercuts the route and intercepts the ball, they believe there's no way Gronkowski gets around Luke Kuechly and through Robert Lester to get the ball, making it uncatchable. That's part of the discretion that you have when you're the official on the field. I think the biggest problem here comes from the way that the NFL has sold this thing after the fact. If they would have handled it differently with Blakeman, if they'd have handled it differently yesterday, you may have more people saying, okay, maybe I would have made a different call, but I at least understand why they made the call they did on the field.
Yeah, the more they talk, and they're confusing it. It's kind of like they're going to have to remember what their lie was or whatever their explanation was. Before I let you go, the Wes Welker health situation, now is it a concussion that he has and his availability for the Broncos and him going back to New England?
Yeah, it's a concussion, and it's what he initially had, and for some reason he got back into the game, and then after the game it was diagnosed a concussion. And, when the concussion sensitivity first really hit the NFL's radar screen, it seemed like if a guy had a concussion, he missed at least one game. More and more guys are back the following Sunday, so I'm not ready to rule out Wes Welker for Sunday, and of all the games he's going to want to play this year, that seems to be the one at the top of the list.
And Ahmad Brooks, will he be fined now for the Breeze hit or possibly suspended?
I don't think he'll be suspended because you'd have to have a history of illegal hits before you get to the point where you're suspended for something like that. But I'm pretty sure he'll be fined because that was the footnote yesterday in the efforts by the NFL to talk about the Panthers-Patriots call. Dean Blandino also said that it was a violation, and if it is a violation, if it's roughing the passer, Ahmad Brooks is going to be one of the guys who gets a fine letter this week.
I didn't agree with the call.
Well, but you know what? Here's the problem.
I know the rules.
Head or neck. It's not just head. And so many people think it's just head. It's head or neck. And he got him around the neck and pulled him down by the neck.
Yeah.
And I know the initial contact was lower.
Yep.
But Blandino said it doesn't matter if it's lower. If it comes up into the neck and you're pulling him down by the neck, that's part of the protection. And you got to protect the quarterbacks. Otherwise, we're going to be watching Scott Tolzien in every game. No offense to Scott Tolzien.
Of course. Thank you, Mike.
All right, see you, bud.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.